Welcome to Center Ice, the Hockey Alberta podcast, home to all things hockey in our great province. Now, here's your host, Ted Emmett.
Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to episode 19 of the Center Ice podcast, and the first episode of 2022 at that. I'm Ted Emmett, excited to be back with you once again for another year. I hope everyone had a safe and relaxing holiday season, even though, well, that deep freeze we experienced was pretty bad. Knock on wood, hopefully that's as bad as it gets, but who knows. So to kick off a new year of Center Ice, we thought it would be fitting to look back a little bit on 2021. And yes, it was not a great year. I think we can all agree on that, and I won't sit here and pretend otherwise, but it definitely had its ups and downs, and we really face planted to the finish line with the way things went to end the year. But as always, we're going to look at the positives. We're going to focus on the bright spots in our game in hockey in Alberta throughout 2021. So to look back at the year that was, we'll be sitting down with Hockey Alberta CEO Rob Litwinski to chat about the past year, but also to look a bit towards the future. And 2022 could not have started on a better note for one Albertan, as Lacey Senuk was selected to officiate at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, which really for an official is the ultimate goal. So Kara Spady sat down with Lacey right after the announcement to chat a little bit more about that incredible honor, and that's coming up later on in the show. But for now, let's get to our first guest. And with us now, the first three-time guest on Center Ice. I don't know how huge of an accomplishment that is, but congratulations anyways. And he was the first guest ever on Center Ice, Hockey Alberta's CEO, Rob Litwinski. Rob, the first time we did this, we got to hang out in your office. Second time was over Zoom. Looks like Zoom takes a 2-1 lead here, but welcome back nonetheless.
Oh, thanks, Ted. It's hard to believe how quick a year goes by, and unfortunately, we'll be talking about some of the same things. However, it's great to see how well our podcast has taken off over the course of this year, and just a great credit to both you and Steve in terms of the work we've done to get it to this point. So hopefully, I don't disappoint here in round 3.
Oh, no, I don't think so. But again, a lot to talk about. And I think you hit on it perfectly that, it's been just over a year now since you were last with us, and a lot of things have changed, and in a way, nothing has changed, unfortunately. We're close now to hitting the 2-year mark for dealing with this pandemic. 2021 was a full calendar year of dealing with COVID-19, so a lot of ups and downs there, stops and starts for hockey. Really, I don't know if you can put it in too small of a nutshell, but what did 2021 look like for Hockey Alberta as a whole?
Well, a lot of attempts. I've said this to our members many times, and I think the one thing that this entire last 2 years has shown us is that we have been united in trying to do the best we can to bring this great sport to our athletes and make sure our athletes get the chance to play all through this time. And I'm not sure before if we always have had that collective interest. However, the game has never really been taken away, so to speak, from us. And I think that was really an uplifting moment. It's hard to say that with everything we've been through, but frankly, trying to continue to take a positive attitude. That's one thing that's been huge. We were able to work with members, work with leagues, work with individual parents at times through our members and sometimes directly to make sure that we had a number one priority. And that was to try and make sure we could see if there was a way within our current guidance within this province to bring the game back in a safe way. And we're very proud of the things we managed to do. I'm rambling on here a little bit, but the experiences we had, should help us continue to navigate the game in the future. Things that we never would have expected before, with respect to, changes, sudden changes and interpretations that changed in a week and things like that. So we learned a lot through that. And I think staying united, staying positive was huge for us. It wasn't always easy. And here we are today talking about some of the same things, but hopefully taking some of that to work forward.
And again, going way back to the very first interview we did, and kind of the same topic again, that it really isn't easy. And for Hockey Alberta and really all provincial sport organizations and everyone in general, you have to work with the government. Those rules and restrictions always come down from the government, and then it's up to Hockey Alberta to kind of determine those. And it's tough because there's always that fine line between doing what's right, keeping everyone safe, and unfortunately, disappointing a lot of people. But I think that's been one of the, I guess, maybe a point of growth as well, is learning to kind of work that balance. And again, at the end of the day, one of Hockey Alberta's values is do the right thing for the right reasons.
Absolutely. And I think that what was a big part of this, and I know when I reflect on the last 2 years, or in this particular case, the last year, trying to maintain positivity has been a huge part, and it has been easy. There's been a lot of different voices, internal, external, everywhere, that, we've all been frustrated. There's been a ton of frustration. When you think back to 2021, when we started, we actually weren't, we probably were expecting to be in the game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen that way right off the bat. So we had to, the rest of the early part of 2021 really didn't lead to a whole lot of activity in the normal fashion. So we had to adjust there. And so we went in with a positive attitude, but realized that very quickly that wasn't what was going to be presented to us. So I think that's been a big part of this whole thing, is trying to maintain that level balance. And I know, as we've tried to make decisions based on guidance, we've used that guidance as our shining star, as what we would define it as. And we know that there's been pressure on different sides to either do more or in some cases do less. And we've tried to make sure that, in our case, we're taking our guidance from our government and from the CMOH office, and at the end of the day, kind of continue to work through there. So it's been, kind of repeating myself, obviously, but yet it's been something that I think we've never really known on any given day what's coming next. And that's quite different for how we used to administrate. We're programmers, we're administrators, we're planners. Things happen the right way for the right reasons, in terms of the way league schedules work, the way, any parent out there knows that the more you can put into your schedule for your children, the easier your life is. And we've just, that wasn't totally abandoned, but we knew that almost any day we came in, especially early last year, that there could be changes, there might not be. And we knew the pressure continued to mount. So we continue to maintain positivity and move forward as best we could.
And one last thing, looking back on, I guess, the COVID side of 2021, was that it still was very different from 2020, in that there were, and I guess we continue to take steps forward in dealing with this pandemic, and in the summer, we saw everyone be able to get vaccinated, have the option to get vaccinated, which meant there were more options, and there was more optimism. So again, a big step forward there, at least, and a way that we can start to look ahead a little more into the future without moving away from that, taking it day by day.
Absolutely. I mean, we've probably been through this a few times. When I say we, Hockey Alberta, but I think collectively as society. And when you take us back through the summer, you're right. With certain guidance and with restrictions, we're able to do some things. There were some innovative solutions that our staff and our associations came up with as we looked at the spring and then into the summer. We started the season in a way that I think most of us would say seemed a lot more normal than what we started the previous year as, which was excellent, but yet fully aware that we weren't in normal status yet. And if we maybe accidentally looked at this as becoming more normal, we realized that even in October, November, when we looked at helping plans with a sudden change of the U18 national championship to now for the women to then work into having that event in Manitoba. There was a lot of work behind the scenes for a lot of people that would not have been normal. But we managed to make it work safely, and it was pulled off. And I look at the Western League Cup and look at the same thing. The duck paddling under the water was significant in terms of how prepared the system was to do that, to operate those events and make sure they were done in a safe fashion, and to try and ensure that we gave those opportunities to our players. And if we fast forward to December and some of the plans that we were very excited about with around the World Juniors that were done and planned, we got another reminder how quickly things can change. And unfortunately, there's a number of things that we were really excited about launching with our members and here at our rink here at Gary W. Harris. But more stuff happened, and we had to adjust accordingly, unfortunately. And so I guess 2021 finished off with another reminder that things aren't normal yet, and you've got to be prepared to use that word that many of us don't like anymore, which is pivot.
And yeah, on a positive note, now let's move into the positive side of 2021, because there were bright spots, some notable things for the game for Hockey Alberta. I know there's some new board members. In 2021, Hockey Alberta hosted its first Indigenous Hockey Summit, I think, which was a huge step forward for the organization and a great learning experience there. So I guess for you and for the organization, what were a couple of those bright spots in 2021?
I think overall, Ted, what I would say is that we managed to keep hockey going. Obviously, we've talked about that, but just in terms of some of the other things we've done, obviously we had the opportunity for the AHL to kind of to fully ramp up and operate. You mentioned the Indigenous Hockey Summit, which again was one of those items that I think probably had original plans to possibly be in person, but then moved to virtual and ultimately, pulled off a terrific opportunity for us to host a very unique event that we want to continue to do. Over the course of this last year, we worked hard to start our, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, which again is something we're still in the midst of doing, but something that we felt as an organization was really, really important. And I mentioned some of those other things that perhaps weren't necessarily strategies for Hockey Alberta, but actually, pretty impressive to watch the work behind the scenes get them done. And I mentioned, obviously the under 18 national championship for the women and obviously for our Western League Cup as well. And some of the things that went on behind the scenes there. You mentioned new board members. We're really privileged to have another new board, another great new board with 3 new members. And again, often something that would go behind the scenes, but certainly is an important part of our board's job. And I think I'm tied to that as well, is just the manner in which, we believe we've improved the process of nomination and how board members come to the board. And those things are often unseen. But at the end of the day, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes by our board and by many of our staff to make sure that we put ourselves in a position where our organization, our membership has the possibility to bring in the most diverse and inclusive board that we possibly can, and ultimately, use that board as our leaders to drive us forward. So those are a few of the things, Ted, that in addition, some of the things you mentioned.
And now, I guess in this climate, like you said, everything has to be approached with a sense of cautious optimism. But as we look ahead now to 2022, there is a lot to look forward to. The provincial championships will return across the province for the first time in 2 years, as will the Alberta Cup, Alberta Challenge, and Prospects Cup, which pretty exciting thing there because that'll be the first time all 3 are hosted here in Red Deer at our office there at the Gary W. Harris Center, Canada Games Center, I should say. So a lot to look forward to in the coming years. We kind of continue to navigate this, quote unquote, new normal.
Absolutely. And I think, sitting here on we're doing this on January 19th, I guess, we still have full plans to operate those events and have the ability to do them. We know that we're up for the challenge of any type of adjustments that may need to be made. And we hope that it's only adjustments that need to be made. Obviously, we're trying to remain optimistic, but it's exciting. It's been a number of years for us when it comes to provincial championships and the ability to host them and make sure that they happen. They've always been a highlight of our March and early April. And right now, looking positively, we believe that they can happen once again. So that's exciting. But we know, and even some of the work we're doing behind the scenes, that we're probably not in a normal setting now. We know we're not in a normal setting now, but we may not be then. So we want to make sure we offer that in the safest and best way possible. It's really exciting for us to host, the challenge and the Alberta Cup and the prospects here in what we're now we call our home, our provincial training center. I think there's a great opportunity for us there to, logistically, we've done some things in our building now, so we know how to work with that. But I think we can make it bigger than just 3 individual events. I think the opportunity to turn that into truly a real exciting time for not just, it certainly will be hosted here in Central Alberta in our office, but we know that the participants that come are coming from every corner of our province. So we hope to turn it into something more than just 3 individual events, which we're very proud of. We hope to put the cherry on top, so to speak, and really make sure that for those, those 3 weeks or more, that we're in a position where we're really celebrating hockey, and not just in Central Alberta. We obviously, that's where we'll be, but we're celebrating hockey with all Albertans that are part of those prestigious events. So those are some things that are really, we're really looking forward to doing, and we know that we got a number of other things planned for the summer as well. So I'm crossing my fingers onto the table here, and knowing that we will do everything we can to make sure we operate within the guidance, but at the same time try and make sure we operate operate safely and in a great fashion. Some of the great events we've operated in the past.
Yeah, no, it's been, I know for me, been a while since we've, I guess, had that first, well, not the first Alberta Cup, but had the Alberta Cup at our office there in Red Deer for the first time. And it seems like forever ago. I know I'm really looking forward to that again. And like you said, knock on wood, everything has to be day by day, but I know we're moving forward and kind of planning for everything. So that's pretty exciting. And as we go forward and take things day by day, we know at Hockey Alberta, as you try to navigate this pandemic, also at the same time looking forward a couple of years, even, working ahead, really thinking about the future, setting some long-term goals. So I know HA 2025 is something that you and the other staff at Hockey Alberta have been working really hard on and working with the board. So maybe talk a little bit about that and what HA 2025 is all about.
One of the things we've worked through over the last probably 12 to 16 months is really evolve, the evolution of our business plan. So our board in our governance model is there to set the strategy, which they have. They've set the strategic direction to myself and our staff. And we've worked over the last year or so and tried to make sure we can try and align that. And we found a methodology we believe will work for us, not to bore you with the methodology, but we're, the objectives and key results. And we feel that they're the best opportunity for us to align from our board down to our staff. And really we've created a plan that we feel we've simplified what we believe is important for Hockey Alberta. One thing about our organization is I've always believed, and I believe I'm correct, that we're very broad. We have a number of different things that we do, from risk management to coach development to on ice performance to just an absolute ton of governance, both for us and for our membership. And sometimes I think for us, while we've always been proud of our planning process, sometimes we maybe haven't been as clear and as measured as we should be. So we believe we've set ourselves up for success between now and 2025. And I can certainly share a few of those points here, Ted, but I'll stop talking for a second.
Oh yeah, I would say keep going, and I know too this is available. Like, this is public knowledge. It's available on Hockey Alberta's website as well, so it's out there, and we definitely encourage people to go and check it out and take a look as well, because a lot of work went into it, and I think it's a great roadmap of where hockey in our province, where we want to take hockey in our province, between now and 2025.
Absolutely. And it really, what it's about, it's about, I'll paraphrase our mission, but really it's about creating positive player experiences. And that shouldn't come as a shock to anybody, obviously, but that's what this is all about. One of the things we want to get done by 2025 is we need to look at expanding our stakeholders. Our stakeholders currently do a terrific job, and our stakeholders include our coaches. Our stakeholders include, obviously, our member minor hockey association, all of our club teams in junior and senior hockey, our officials, a number of stakeholders do, but we may need to continue to look at expanding that in terms of really ensuring that we're the type of organization that wants to include everybody that we can. So we need to do some work there in general terms. We need a system that is, and we've said this before, and we want to continue, that it's not one size fits all. That we know that there's different customer segments that want different things from our game, including some that want into our game that we have to make more accessible, as I mentioned before. We simply have to continue to work to be more diverse. We have to continue to do that. We have to make sure that our sport is more inclusive, and we attract more people to try. And we certainly know there's plenty of studies and whatnot on why people have not joined our game, and certainly cost continues to be one of those key items. But we also realize that there's, our game can be very intimidating to start at times, whether it be the time of the season, the equipment, things that we have to understand better to make sure that there are many reasons why people may not be choosing our game. And we have to work with, expanded stakeholders to do that. We want to drill down. I mentioned the word measurement before, and we want to really drill down on being more measured. So we believe that our plan will be measured. Our board ultimately will hold me accountable for that. We want to measure, measure our existing stakeholders. We want to look at, what the coach development plans are within our respective members. We want to evaluate our members themselves, and we want to evaluate the experience that players have in their competition. So within their leagues and whatnot, we want to just continue to get an annual measurement of where we are and what we need to change. And I think as we continue to get more in the habit of doing that, again, our system, it can appear massive at times, and it is. We want to get that feedback and continue to move forward. So I'll stop there, Ted, for a little bit, and I can certainly get into some of the actual 5 objectives. But that's what, if I was to describe, it's a little bit of a long elevator speech there, but at the end of the day, that's what we want to see by 2025. And we certainly have, 5 core areas that we believe we want to use to get there. And in saying that, I'd say that there's 5 items. It doesn't mean the rest of our operations are not happening. It just means that we had to prioritize, and that's where we came to grips with. And we know that in some cases, there's items that some may feel maybe should have been higher on the list, should have been on the list. It doesn't change the fact that we ultimately are here to operate the game of hockey, but we believe these 5 things are key things in moving us forward. And as you said, they're on our website, but I can certainly share a little bit more about them here.
Yeah, I would say go ahead and share. I know it's a very extensive plan. I think if it wasn't, if it was a 2.2 line plan, then I think maybe people would be thinking, oh, that's not really looking towards the future. So it is really extensive. But yeah, I would say hit on those 5 key objectives, and I guess best you can kind of Cole's notes those.
Sure. No, absolutely. And they are available on our website. I think shout out Ted to you and the entire Marcom department of the ability for us to probably do as good of a job as we've ever done at sharing these. And we know that in sharing them, there'll be people that fully agree with where we're going, and there'll be some that there might be some controversial points in there as well. And that's all good. And that was intended for us to make sure we show where we want it to go. First one, and again, these aren't in any real, they're more A, B, C, D, E, F, or I guess E, in terms of the 5. But, we want to focus on our leagues and competition. We've done continue to do a much better job of aligning. But we know that when you think of what I said off the top, which is these are all about trying to ensure we maintain and or improve the player experience. I'll put my parent hat on for a second. You certainly go through a system of, you do your tryouts and you do all the things you need, but then you form into your team and you settle in. That's where arguably your experience is for most of the season. We want to make sure that we know that the experience you have in your competition, meaning your league competition, wherever that is in the province, that's a huge part of your overall experience. If that league operates and administrates and communicates well, your experience tends to be very strong. So we want to continue to work with our leagues to do that. We have some, we've had we believe a lot of success in some of the provincial models around our AFHL first off, leading the way, and now our AEHL. But we believe, and we're looking into, what we can do provincially within our U13 and U11 models as well. Something that we perhaps haven't done in the past from a provincial standpoint. Not easy work, has not been easy work to date, but a lot of work to go. Something I won't stray away from, but it's on our plan as well, is we believe that we do have to look at how our boundary structure works within hockey. And, I've been careful in terms of the words I've used there in terms of look at it. We don't know what the end result is. However, we do know that our customer segments are looking at different options, and we have to make sure we look at all of them. So that work will begin in the next little while as well. Our second one is focusing on our minor hockey associations. We need to do that. They're the heart of where hockey happens, and we know that there's a lot of work there. The last 2 years have shown us that it's been incredibly difficult at that level, and they've shown up more than ever before in terms of being able to deliver the game. And that's, we have just, the heart of the volunteer and a number of the professional staff that are in many of our associations is, just unrivaled, I believe. And we know that with good associations, we'll make good situations, good recruitment opportunities, and they'll do a great job. So we think that that's just an important part. And I mentioned earlier about the ability to assess and really review who's doing some great things out there. Can we pilot those things in different parts of the province and that? But a huge stakeholder for us and a huge part of our, of our 5-piece plan. This will not shock anybody, but continual priority on our coaches. A great, and once again, tying back into why, because a great coach makes a great experience for the players. We all know that. We have a huge system. We have, over 3,000 hockey teams in our province. Every one of them is their own living, breathing life form, often with significant leadership from the coach and obviously the manager too. But our coach has the ability to truly impact the experience in a very positive way. And we have so many great coaches out there already. We want to continue to help them be the best coaches they can be for our system. And we're very proud of the system we've set up already. But this isn't one of those ones that we felt could just be, it's another operational piece. We believe so strongly that this is one of the top priorities, obviously, in making sure that experience continues to be great. Our fourth is we'll add and we'll find a way to retain players. We've got a number of initiatives. I mentioned early off the top that by 2025, I would hope that we'll see new stakeholders. But we want to continue to have new initiatives to expand our ability to offer recreational programs and tie those provincially, to continue to work hard with our Hockey Alberta Foundation on our Every Kid, Every Community platform. They've had such a successful last year that we can take advantage of that with respect to what we can pass on to our members as well. So those are huge things for us. We have an initiative that we want to start in terms of, we've heard for years that, and I think some of us have seen it in practice, that sometimes there are hockey players in our system that maybe they change why they want to be in the game when they turn 13, 14. Maybe they want a little bit less. Maybe they don't want the same things that some of the high performance athletes do. Are there ways that we can look at creating opportunities to keep players in the game from that 13, 14 years old into 17, and graduate them into playing adult hockey afterwards? Can we do more things there? And we know that there's some great pilots out there already, and we want to continue to work on that. And lastly, one that, again, we're a nonprofit sport organization. We've always been very proud of that. The 4 priorities or objectives I've talked about are really about the player experience. And we believe this ultimately is as well, maybe in a little different way, but we want to continue to diversify our revenue and our finance. We've been very fortunate over the last number of years to I believe, manage our finances very well. We still maintain that we have some of the lowest fees in the country around our player fees. Our Every Kid, Every Community platform on our Hockey Alberta Foundation has allowed us some flexibility to try some new programs where we don't necessarily have to charge the existing customer more to try some new things. So that's been a huge thing for us. But we believe that, we've continued to build our brand. We believe that, we've already got some terrific partners, and we believe we can reach out and get some more partners to diversify our revenue so that it's not focused simply on player revenue, but we can expand, our sponsorship and partner revenue. We can look at some new ways of gaining additional revenue, whether that's, additional licensees, things like that. We even, we know that there's been a lot of success and a lot of different change is around 50-50. Maybe there's some things we continue to do around there. So some could ask, well, why is that? If I was saying, it's all about the positive player experience, how does that one tie in there? We believe that the more we can diversify, the less we will hopefully be in a position where we have to charge our members the nominal fee that we charge already, and that will allow us to continue to do more things. And I mentioned this already, but a great example of that is just the work that our foundation has done, and the ability for us to access some of those funds, and our membership to access some of those funds that have not come from operational fees. So I think that's a real life example, and we believe that's an important focus. So that was a little more than an elevator speech, Ted, but it does give a bit of a description of where we're at. And as you mentioned, and I've highlighted as well, it's something that we've shown the highlights on our website as well, and certainly encourage people to go take a look.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great overview. Again, it's a lot of information, a lot of things, but it is also all on one sheet of paper. Somehow we got it down there. So again, I encourage everyone to go to hockeyalberta.ca and look at that as well, because I think it's of course important to look to the future, but I think it's great to give everyone too the opportunity to look into, I guess, the inner workings of the organization and see where hockey is going. So again, appreciate the look into that as well. And I think if, at least between you and I, we know that actually was the Rob Litwinski short form of HA 2025, right?
Yeah, I guess that's something I got to keep working on. Hey, so the
secret item number 6, yeah.
Yeah, the sheet does a far better job of that, but I do appreciate the opportunity to put a little bit of context into what bullet points or we got. It's great graphics and whatnot. So do appreciate the chance to talk. Obviously, a lot of passion for where we're trying to go, and really repeat that. This started from a board strategic direction, and we've worked hard. And we didn't. I even said this at our annual meeting. I'd suggest that probably 16 months ago we thought we had this, and we weren't there yet. And we put a lot of work back into it, and we did that in the middle of a pandemic. So, I think there's probably some staff that when they hear me say that, know the moment where we said we're still not there yet. It probably wasn't the most popular moment with some of them, but I believe that we kept at it, and I believe we're on the right track.
Well, again, thank you for coming on here third time, first 3-time guest, and I think maybe the number one fan of this podcast as well. So it's always great to have you on, and we won't keep you, but we do appreciate, I think it's always great to have that inside look into the organization, I guess, for lack of a better term, a bit of a state of the union on where Hockey Alberta is at and where Hockey Alberta is going. So I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime in the not too distant future. And hopefully by then, maybe we can even up the score and have an in-person interview. But nonetheless, thank you again for taking the time to do this.
I look forward to evening the score for sure, Ted. But thanks for having me on once again. And once again, shout out to you and Steve and the whole team on what we've done with this podcast. And when it comes to our plan for 2025, I think we've done a great job of making sure that we had the chance to put some context to it in multiple ways. So thanks for that, and look forward to if there's a next time. But always look forward to listening to you every time a new podcast comes out, Ted. So I'll keep the number one fan hat on.
Perfect. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you again to Hockey Alberta CEO Rob Litwinski for once again taking the time for a candid discussion about really all things Hockey Alberta, the year that was, the year that's coming up, and really looking all the way into the future, with Hockey Alberta 2025. So that officially makes him the first 3-time guest on the Center Ice podcast, which I don't know if that's a real prestigious honor or not, but Rob, you have it anyway, so congratulations. And we have a 2-time guest, or who will now be a 2-time guest, coming up in just a bit. But first, as always, it's time to check in on what's going on around the province. So here's what you need to know. Female Hockey Day is fast approaching, set for Saturday, January 29th in Lloydminster. So there is still time to sign up to take part in the celebration. If you're not into hockey yet, there is a try hockey session for both youth and adults, which will be pretty cool. You get to, use the equipment, You don't need your own equipment. It'll be provided for you, and you can go out and try the game, see if you like it. And there's also a coaching basics for hockey moms session as well. So a couple great ways to introduce yourself to the game or learn a little bit more if you're not that familiar with hockey. Either way, registration is open right up until the day before. So if you are interested, head to hockeyalberta.ca. Staying on the subject of female hockey, Hockey Alberta has an exciting new opportunity to join our team as the very first mentor for female hockey. We've heard Coach Mentor Barry Midori on the show a couple of times now, and Hockey Alberta is looking for a mentor to focus on all aspects of female hockey. So again, a very cool opportunity for someone out there. So if you are interested, head to hockeyalberta.ca for more details and get your application in before January 31st. A quick congratulations to Hockey Alberta's Coach of the Month for December, Randall Thiessen of Edmonton. Randall's been coaching for 8 years in the Millwoods organization in Edmonton and is currently the head coach of the U13 Millwoods Bruins and an assistant coach with the U7 Millwoods Polar Bears. So a very busy guy. Congratulations again, Randall. If you want to recognize an outstanding coach in your community, you can nominate them now, and they could win a coaching package from Players Bench team apparel worth over $500. You can find the nomination form at, you guessed it, hockeyalberta.ca. Last but certainly not least, thanks to a $1.5 million grant from the Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation, over $600,000 went out to minor hockey associations in Northern Alberta to help grow the game and make it more accessible through Hockey Alberta's member program grant. Now, minor hockey associations in Northern Alberta can once again apply for this member program grant, with the next deadline coming on February 28th. So again, for all the details there, you can head to hockeyalberta.ca. That's what you need to know. Let's go now to Kara Spady, who has our next guest.
With us now is Alberta's own Lacey Senuk, who was recently chosen as an official for the 2022 Winter Olympics. Hi, Lacey. Thanks for joining us today. How's it going?
Things are good, and thanks for having me on the podcast again.
Yeah, second timer here. So first off, congratulations on being named as a referee for the women's hockey tournament at the 2022 Olympics. What does this designation mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it's the pinnacle of officiating for myself, and it's an unbelievable honor to be able to be selected as part of one of the officials in the group that's going. It's been a unique couple of years, and to finally kind of reach that goal, it's pretty surreal.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to the podcast, we talked to Lacey in episode 11 and heard about her background in hockey and the experiences she's had as an official. When we talked to you last spring, though, Lacey, you had called the Olympics a pipe dream. How does it make you feel that your pipe dream is coming true?
I mean, it's always kind of been a pipe dream, just because it's every 4 years. It's a very small group of officials going. But now that dream has come true, and it's, I think we leave in about 19 days. So now that it's there, it's like, people ask, what's it feel like? What words do you use to describe it? And it's pretty, you don't have the words. It's pretty indescribable. But yeah, the pipe dream is come alive, and it's come to fruition. And now I guess it's set the goals on something else.
Yeah, you mentioned that this is the pinnacle of officiating for you. And in women's hockey especially, the Olympics is the pinnacle of the sport. Is there a different feeling or level of pressure heading into the Olympics as opposed to other national events?
I mean, I think the Olympics and women's worlds, I mean, it's the best of the best, in female hockey, and it's the best teams and the best players and the best countries. And I mean, the Olympics, they're competing for a gold medal, and it's at once in every 4 years that it happens. It's not like it's an every year thing, like a women's world. So I think it's a very special moment for the players and the fans and the officials and everyone involved, because it is, one in every 4 years. It's not an everyday or every year event. So.
Yeah, you've mentioned the women's world. Did you have an idea that you'd be working the Olympics, or how did you find out?
So there was a long list of officials. So I was on the long list, and that kind of came about after Worlds in Calgary in August. And then we met as a group in Denmark in, I guess, early November. And it was the officials that were on the list. And we knew that there was cuts to be made. And yeah, it was, when I was selected, it was, still, it left you pretty speechless and pretty thankful, because you never know what can happen in their decisions.
So the process is kind of like, right now, the women's team centralized in Calgary. They have cuts to be made. It's kind of the same process for officials then. You gathered in Denmark, and do you want to talk about that experience?
Yeah, for sure. So we met it as a group. So there was 31 of us, both referees and lines persons, and then the coaches that were on the list. So we met in Denmark. We had, I think we were there about 3 days. We had one day that was, off-ice fitness testing, which was fantastic. Everyone's favorite thing is to do the off-ice. We didn't actually touch the ice in Denmark. We were just there, doing classroom sessions, did some seminars, going over the rules, sort of, potentially what to expect in Beijing, different things like that. And then actually from Denmark, we split into 3 groups. And we went to the 3 remaining events for the qualifiers. So a group went to Sweden, a group went to Germany, and a group went to the Czech Republic. And we worked the final qualification rounds for the teams that were there. So, it was pretty interesting going from Denmark I ended up in the Czech Republic and working those games. So worked a couple of games, and then, we all came home, and, and then you sit back and wait for that phone call and to see whether or not you were selected. So.
That's a blur, because you said that happened in November, right? So here we are at the beginning of January, and you've already been to Denmark, the Czech, and now you're going to Beijing. So that's pretty exciting. When you're notified, do you know how many games you'll get, or do you just find out that once you're there?
Yeah, we kind of find out once we're there, right? So I imagine it's going to be very similar to other events where, you kind of get a couple days of assignments at a time, and then it's kind of day by day after that. So we have no idea how many games we're going to work. You're not guaranteed anything, and you go and, treat every game like it's your last and leave it all out on the ice.
So it sounds like you've been busy already preparing with the referees across the world and officials. But now that you said you're 19 days away from leaving, what are your next steps, and what does your preparation look like heading into the Olympics?
Well, it would be nice if we didn't have to say this, but because of COVID, definitely limiting a lot of interactions with people, limiting games just because of the risk, especially with this new variant and stuff, which is unfortunate. It would be nice to be able to work up right until the day I leave kind of thing. But because of that and the additional measures that we have to take, it's just, limiting the interactions with people sort of outside of the bubble, like outside of my bubble, I guess. But still getting out on the ice where I can, getting in some skates just to stay going and just working on the off ice stuff. So, running, biking, all of that wonderful, non-hockey related stuff.
Yes, that fitness stuff that is oh so lovely, as you said.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the main part of what your preparation and training would be as an official anyways, is the fitness levels?
Yeah, for sure. I've really, drawn to the off-ice training and fitness over the last few years. And it's something that I look forward to kind of every day. And, the cold days, not so much. You don't really want to go outside for a run, but, when the sun's shining and it's kind of nice out, it's like, hey, it's nice to get a break and some fresh air and get moving. So, I've always enjoyed training the last number of years, and I've really taken to it. So, it's part of the prep. Obviously, rules and sort of more the head in the book and in the rule book is part of it as well. But and now it's looking more, okay, what do I need to bring? What do I need to prepare for in China, and thinking about things like that. So.
Yeah, and going to China, so often we hear about the Olympic experience from an athlete or coach perspective, but as an official, do you get to stay in the Olympic Village or participating in the opening ceremonies, or are officials in like their own bubble of sorts?
So in normal circumstances, from speaking to other officials that have gone, usually, you go to opening ceremonies and things like that. We don't stay in the athletes' village. We're in a hotel, and in this situation, it's, a safe hotel. It's attached to the Olympics. But yeah, this year, unfortunately, there's no opening ceremonies for anyone really, just because of the COVID protocols, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, from speaking to the other officials, it's a lot of sitting around outside, and if the temperatures are cold, it can be pretty cold. But it's, at the same time, it would be nice to take that in and experience it. But I'm sure there'll be other things for us that we can take in and experience instead. So.
Yeah, I think that the opening ceremonies is for sure that experience thing. And I've heard that at a lot of places, that's the moment where it really kicks in, that you're there, you're at the Olympics. And so I guess not having that will be tough. But as you said, the Olympic experience is something special. When you started officiating, was there a moment where you're like, hey, I can turn this into something, I want to be at the international level? Or is it more a process that suddenly you're in a position where it was possible to work on this at the international stages?
I think it was probably 3 or 4 years in that, I thought, okay, yeah, there's an opportunity here for international events and working into that system. But it was also a difficult process too, because you kind of have to get your foot in the door with the IHF and be seen. I actually kind of joke because my first international event, I went as a linesman, and it was actually in China. I was in Shanghai for an Olympic qualifier, and I think it was like 2013 or 2012. So it's kind of go the full circle, right? My first event was in China, and my first Olympics is in China, right? So, but yeah, I mean, kind of once I kind of realized like there's potential, to succeed, it was okay. Now the dream is out there and the goals are out there. So it's, the carrot's been dangled, and I'm going to chase it. So,
yeah. So, like you said, like a large part of getting to that international stage is being seen by the IHF and getting your foot in the door there. It wasn't that long ago, there were hardly any female officials, let alone at that international level. So what does it say about the development of females in the game to have a whole slate of female officials heading to Beijing this year?
It shows that, countries and associations are investing in female hockey and female officials, and providing the different opportunities. And I think that's fantastic. I know some of my colleagues in other countries, they don't have exposure to female hockey, so they skate, they officiate male hockey. And, the fact that they're able to go in and officiate male hockey and not, it's not a consideration, and it's not, oh, you're a female, you can't do this, I think is remarkable. And that's how it should be. And I, in Canada, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of female hockey from coast to coast. And as a female official, you can skate it. But, I think there's definitely opportunities as well to grow and develop in the male game, because the games are different. And you're going to learn things in both games that are going to help you in your career path.
So for you personally, regularly, are you officiating male, female, both?
It is both. It's more male. Over the years, it's definitely been more male hockey than female hockey. The last number of years, I think the only female hockey that I was really skating was youth sport, so our university level. And then, for myself, it was mostly male hockey. So, I had junior A, ACAC, and then our under 18 triple, I skated that for a number of years. So, probably I would say for myself, probably 95% of my hockey was male, and that 5% was just youth sport female. So in years past, it was, kind of almost reverse, where it was more female than male. But kind of once I cut my teeth on the male side and started to progress up that ladder, unfortunately the male hockey kind of took over more than the female, but I definitely took every opportunity I could to skate a female game.
And when we talk about the development of the programs and as you mentioned, how countries are investing in the female side of it, how has the Hockey Alberta or Hockey Canada officials programs played a part in your own development?
Oh, huge. I mean, I always say, and I said it, that I owe a lot of gratitude to Hockey Alberta and to Hockey Canada for where I am. And even to the association that I started in St. Albert. If it wasn't for the individuals involved there that, saw potential and helped me, in St. Albert to get into, sort of more of the provincial, into the Hockey Alberta eyes, and then the individuals within Hockey Alberta that got me, in front of the Hockey Canada stuff. If it wasn't for them, it's hard to say would I be where I am today. You don't know, but I'm very thankful for the part that every single person has played in my development as an official. And I owe a lot of thanks and gratitude to everyone, and from Hockey Canada, Hockey Alberta, down to the different regions in the province, and then St. Albert itself.
Yeah, you have had an amazing career so far, and very much looking forward to watching you in Beijing. But lastly, Lacey, you didn't start reffing until you were 23. Do you have any words of encouragement or motivation for officials that are just getting started?
Honestly, you don't have to be, 13, 14 to get started. You said, I started at 23. But if you want to officiate, just go for it. Like I always say, and I've said it time and time again, the opportunities are truly endless. Especially for females. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there, and males as well. Like, I've gotten to travel the world. I've got friends around the world. I've got friends coast to coast here in Canada. Honestly, just if you want to stay involved in the game, do it. Like, officiating, you're definitely a different breed and a different type of person to do it. But the opportunities are there to excel and to see the world. So, yeah,
often we don't think that we have 3 teams in hockey, but we do, and there's room for everyone in it. So if you're interested in becoming an official, there's definitely room for you and opportunities. As a Canadian, you aren't allowed to officiate your country's games. So patriotically, I hope I don't see you officiating the gold medal game at this year's Olympics. But I do wish you the best of luck in Beijing and hope to see you in the bronze medal game. So
Thank you. But, there might be a change. I don't know. We saw it at World Juniors where we had Canadians in the Canadian game, and we had different nationalities in with their nation's team. So maybe there'll be a changing of the guard here. I mean, at Calgary, I was able to do the preliminary round game between Canada and USA. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, the IHF is progressing. So maybe you'll see me in the gold. Maybe you'll see me in the bronze. I'm not sure. But regardless, I'm going to go and give it my all. So...
Well, then hopefully, fingers crossed, there's a changing of the guard for you and we can see you and Canada there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lacey, for taking the time to join us today and returning to the Center Ice podcast. Good luck in Beijing, and remember to take a step back and breathe it all in while you're there too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again to Lacey Senuk, and congratulations to her for an incredible honor. I think it's easy to focus all the time and celebrate the success of players or even coaches or anyone involved in that side of the game, but sometimes I think it gets overlooked just how hard officials work, the dedication they put in to be the best they can be and achieve their goals as well. So to see one of Alberta's top officials get the call to work the Olympics, to go to Beijing and represent our province is pretty incredible, and we're very happy to celebrate that. So with that, episode 19 of the Center Ice podcast comes to a close. One last thank you to Rob Litwinski, Lacey Senuk, and Kara Spady, and of course to producer Steve. I'm Ted Emmett. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Center Ice podcast. For this episode and more, head to hockeyalberta.ca. If there's a topic you'd like covered on an upcoming episode, email info@hockeyalberta.ca.